it's not going to help you. It's going to waste time and it's going to waste energy, and it's going to cause a lot of frustration because you're going to be trying to force an organization or a development through change that it's probably not even ready for either. How's it going, everybody? Tactical Thursdays. We haven't done a vlog for a couple of days. It's been my birthday, so I've been spending time with the family and friends and enjoying myself, but I'm really happy to get back on the camera and talk to you all today. We're going to go live tomorrow again. We're going to give it another go again on LinkedIn and probably also Facebook and now in parallel, because we didn't get too many viewers last week, which is a little bit disappointing, but I'm still glad that we did it, and I'm hoping that we'll get some more this week. So what I want to talk to you all today for our Tactical Thursdays, where we talk about, the business problems and business opportunities, is technology. Now, this is a pretty touchy subject, pretty sensitive subject for a lot of people, and it causes a lot of discussions and a lot of needs. And what I wanted to start with first is not about any specific technology as such or any specific genre of technology, more just to talk about generally how I think that we should be thinking about its uses and applying it, and how we should consider it and approach that from a business perspective rather than maybe some of the ways that it is already approached from a business perspective. And I can use some examples for that. I'll try and keep it more general, obviously, but I think it should be useful for us to be able to discuss this. So I think the first point that I really want to make about technology is that there is nothing worse for your business, in my opinion, than going in and trying to use technology for technology's sake. You are just going to create costs. Now, you may generate learning, so don't mistake proof of concepts, experimentations, and just trying out stuff with actually then moving into a product level work and portfolio level work and going out and doing that with customers in an industrial way. But this sort of notion that we're sort of getting right now, and it is happening a little bit, where you can maybe see a lot of companies where they've gone, we need to do something in blockchain, or we need to use AI. Now, that's just people trying to jump on a bandwagon and trying to drive something onto a trend and trying to hitch themselves to that train and try and ride it through because they think that that's something that could be successful in the future. I think that's a very randomized approach. It can work with a company that maybe needs to go through some sort of digital revolution or digitalization journey. But I think fundamentally it's going to end up with a lot of perplexed people and a lot of people who don't understand why this thing has suddenly just become important and why it suddenly has priority over some other things. And I think that that's really where you then need to understand what the utilities of the technology is. So I'd recommend that if you're a manager or a senior manager in any sort of company and you want to be able to generate the most value for your company and you think that through technology is that about, you need to educate yourself deeply about those technologies. For myself, I've done some work with blockchain and some proof of concept work and various other things, and I've spent a huge amount of time studying blockchain, for example, on the side in order to educate myself more on how it works. One of the reasons I understand web architectures and web technologies is because I've spent a lot of time outside of work learning about web application development and web programming languages and things like that. So I understand the different languages and the different architectures and how cloud computing and everything works. Not because I've gone on some training course or anything like that, but because I've used the internet to basically teach me these things, or books, to teach me these things. And that's really, I think, the way that you can approach it. The key thing is that technology companies have technology and they want to sell you technology. So they will find any way to do that for you. And the problem is that you need to take your domain knowledge and you need to understand how you can use that. And I think it's very hard to be successful in implementing these new technologies and using them in a valuable way that's valuable for you and valuable for your customers, unless you're able to take your domain knowledge, combine it with some knowledge of the technology and put them together into a solution, or a solution that solves a customer problem or a problem that you have. And I think that's what we see as a symptom of in a lot of the companies that are now emerging as technology companies. I mean, Firstly, we're seeing a lot of technology companies emerging that aren't really run by tech guys. So I think that when you look at these technologies, you need to put them to one side, and then you need to go back to your customers or to your business environment and you say, okay, what are the problems that we have? What are causing these problems? Now that we understand what the causes of those problems are, and we understand the processes around those problems, or the journeys, the customer journeys maybe is a nice way to map these things out. Then now what we can do is we can then look at these technologies and say, can these be applied in order to help us solve this problem? So you're taking that two-step approach, but to take the technology and say, what problems can we solve with this? It's going to be very difficult in order to do that, because you're going to be trying to most often push a square peg into a round hole. And it's not going to help you, it's going to waste time, and it's going to waste energy, and it's going to cause a lot of frustration, because you're going to be trying to force an organization or a development through change that it's probably not even ready for either. So you have to be very careful when you're looking at technology, understanding where the maturity curve is of it. I'm a big fan of the maturity curve that Gartner usually releases, showing where all the different technologies sit. And I think that you need to be coming out of the bottom valley before you start really looking at how do I then apply this industrially into my company or into my portfolio that my company delivers. And whilst that obviously doesn't sound so comfortable, if you want to be, a cutting edge technology company, then you will always be operating in a smaller experimental space there. And I think that's something that we just have to accept. So that's some thoughts on the nature of technology in industry, and some things that I think you need to think about in the way that I would recommend approaching trying to solve problems with technology. Start with the problem first, and then start with the technology, not the other way around. And that should make you all a lot more successful when you're trying to see how you can use these things. Hope this has been helpful. Speak to you all tomorrow.